It was getting to the point where I would see other departments getting replaced by AI. In one environment, I had seen the call center's chat department was replaced by AI. And I got to experience the fallout of that, where within a couple of weeks, the complaints started coming in. My name's Jason, and this is Uncluttered Tech. I'm here to talk to you about my thoughts on AI. I have mixed emotions around AI. On the one hand, I use it every day. On the other hand, I really don't like how AI is being misused overall. I'm going to touch on two aspects of that. One being how it's being misused in the corporate environment, and the other being how it's being misused by the general public. To get started, as an IT professional for the last 25 years, I come here speaking to you as someone who's recently gotten a lot of exposure to AI in the corporate environment. I thought it'd be interesting to explore that today. Corporate use of AI. It's a really interesting thing. You hear a lot about it in the news today, how corporations have been using AI as a reason to let go of a lot of employees. I don't honestly think that AI is really the main reason or the only reason behind all these layoffs. I have the feeling that AI has become convenient reason. It's easy to say, it's easy to point to AI as being this life-changing, game-changing thing, and that's the reason why. I think it has more to do with changes to the economy, changes to the world, changes to what's happened to us since the pandemic. During the pandemic, a lot of people were laid off. And once things settled down, people were rehired at a rate maybe a bit too much or too fast for corporations to properly absorb. They realized, I think, to some degree that maybe they went too much too fast. Now, my personal take on it is no matter how good AI gets, and or at least how it is now in 2026, it's nowhere near the capability to fully replace a human being. Human beings bring creativity, ingenuity, and problem solving that, as good as AI could ever be, I don't think it'll ever get to the point of surpassing that level. You could educate your workforce to use AI, and I think we should encourage our workforces to use AI, but to replace a person with AI, that's where I draw the line. Whether it's at home or at the office, AI should only ever be used as an augment to your capacity, to your productivity, not as a replacement of it. AI is just not that solution, at least not today. The real world is that people don't want to talk to a robot. Whether it's a pre-recorded IVR, whether it's a sophisticated AI that can respond to you and sound fairly close to a human being, the thing is that people can tell. Any customer service department that's replaced staff with AI is seeing a higher level of customer dissatisfaction. It's really getting to a point where if they can save 5% in terms of operational expenses, but the customer sats only drop 5%, to a lot of companies, that's going to be a fair trade-off. What the reality seems to be indicating, at least in what I've observed, is we're seeing like 5% savings, 10% savings maybe in staff, but 50, 60, 70% drop in customer satisfaction. Those are numbers that are not sustainable, especially in industries where their entire revenue stream is based on customer satisfaction. Telecom, banking, or finance, if the customer experience is so poor, people will just leave. It's good, it has its pluses, it just can't be used as a replacement for people. Use it to help augment your workforce, just don't replace your workforce. A couple of areas I can think of offhand where AI is actually useful in corporate use is in streamlining administrative activities that are frankly boring. If I can tell a bot to do my timesheets or my expense reports in a way that is fully compliant to corporate standards, and that's a big thing too. Corporations have to, before they implement AI, they got to set up governance around how to use AI. I can think to one example where a colleague of mine and I were searching around what files we were able to access on our SharePoint. Now, we thought that the system would automatically limit its access to the internal SharePoint for our department, because that would be logical. Turns out that the governance wasn't put in place, and so this instance was able to see into other departments' SharePoints. That doesn't sound like necessarily a bad thing until you realize that what that can mean is that your IT staff could now have access to legal files or financial files that have nothing to do with their role. Bring in AI, but you got to start with the governance before you bring in the implementation. Until the governance was put in place, people could do whatever they wanted. And it was a really interesting couple of weeks where we got to experience what people would use it for or what they were doing. And it wasn't even things that they intended. It was most of the time it was accidental. They put a prompt to do something and the results came back as either something completely different or something, it went on its own tangent and brought up something else until things happened and the higher ups found out, and then they put a block on the AI usage temporarily until the governance model got in place. I see a lot of people asking about vibe coding, and that term's come up a lot lately, vibe coding. You asked me 5 years ago what vibe coding was, and I'd have no idea because there was a very basic principle in play. If you were coding an application or coding a website, you had to have a certain level of knowledge and expertise in order to be able to understand what was happening. Knowledge and expertise. I don't mean you had to go to school. A lot of it could have come from experience, from practice, from testing. You could have gotten a certification. Heck, you could have DIY'd it and watched enough YouTube videos to get familiarity with it. But it was you doing the work. It was you putting in the effort. It was you getting the results out. Nowadays, with vibe coding and agentic AI, you tell AI what to do, it does it, and then you can walk away. And the thing is, as somebody who's experimenting with agentic AI myself, yeah, it'll do what I tell it. It just doesn't always do what I think it will do, or the prompt I gave it wasn't sufficient enough or wasn't well written enough for it to fully understand what I wanted. But the thing is, while I'm not a coder or a developer, I have enough experience, enough knowledge to know when something didn't go right or when something is off. Not everyone has that. And what I'm seeing and hearing more and more is people coming up with things to market, to sell, that was created by AI, and not even checking to see if the thing that they wrote, if the thing that they came up with is safe. AI is a dangerous weapon if in the wrong hands. And I think people have to take that to heart. You write something, you build something, you own it, not the AI. So you got to be able to understand enough about what you're doing to know if it's safe, if it's done properly, if there's security measures in there. Because by default, if you tell AI, write me a calendar app that looks and does this, it will do exactly what you told it. Now, if you decide to go and market that out into the world and make money off of it, not inherently, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you haven't put in security measures, privacy measures, a full back-end support model, when this goes into the public, and most people who are buying these kind of applications aren't developers themselves, they won't know that the application they bought from you is something with holes in it, that's vulnerable, that could be hacked into really easily. If you're going to go so far as to market a product using AI, at the very least, you got to be able to make sure that it is fully legitimate software with all the safeguards and security built into it to prevent it from being mishandled or misused out in the market. Unfortunately, what I've been hearing is that it's not, and people are selling products nowadays that have none of that thought into it because the people writing it aren't developers themselves. And another issue with not being knowledgeable in creating applications or websites is you might get AI to produce something that looks right, but when something goes wrong, if you don't understand at least the majority of what it is that you were intending for it to do, how are you going to fix it? You have to at least have run it through with a developer, brought in someone that knows what they're doing to be able to properly analyze it, test it, validate that what you're doing is safe and works properly. I use AI day to day. It helps me manage my to-do list, my calendar. It's helped me code an application that I use locally. It has no access to the outside world, completely isolated in its own virtual environment. It is something for me to play around with because while I'm not a developer, I want to learn. I want to get better. One thing that I have used AI to do a lot, which is ironic, is judge my approach to how I simplify things. And it was able to help me find areas that I didn't think about initially to simplify. If this gives you a different way to think about AI, subscribe. I'm posting every week. Full thoughts are on the blog at unclutteredtech.com. Links are in the description.